You've just gotten the hang of breastfeeding, sort of, and some moms are telling you it's fine to start a bottle, and meanwhile others are telling you that if you do give a bottle, your baby is going to have nipple confusion and will start to reject the breast. What do you do with all of this? Actually, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends not introducing a bottle until breastfeeding has been clearly established, which usually happens, they say, at around 3 to 4 weeks of age. So I think the theory here is that latching on has been established, you're no longer dealing with engorgement, and you're really in a good rhythm nursing your baby, and that it's fine to introduce the bottle. This is also a very nice opportunity, if you have a partner, to get your partner involved, because some people say that when that first bottle is given, that it actually should not come from the mom. It should come from someone else, and they recommend leaving the house or taking a break because they want the baby to experience having the bottle from someone other than the person who has been breastfeeding the baby. So keep that in mind, and it's a great opportunity to get a break. It might be good to have your partner do the last feeding of the day so that you can go to bed earlier and get a longer stint of sleep. Maybe you're going to sleep from 9 o'clock until 2 in the morning, or if you're really lucky, you might be able to get your partner to do one of the feeds during the night, which would be really helpful. But regardless, so keep that in mind in terms of who's going to actually be giving the bottle, okay? Now, there is a bit of a catch-22 here with delaying giving a bottle to a baby. You don't want to wait too long. I did hear from my sister-in-law once that she waited to give her baby a bottle, and actually she needed to go back to work, and on her first day back at work, she had to leave her child at daycare with a nice big bottle or two, and he wouldn't take it. He went the whole day without eating. Eventually, he did start to eat again, but some babies, when this is delayed too long, don't want to take the bottle, and it can become a huge battle, and that can cause stress for the mom because she's worried about getting back to work and she can't get her baby to take the bottle. So you really have to gauge all of this. What I've tended to do with my first 2 children, I actually did not do a lot of bottles. The third baby, though, unfortunately, was in the NICU for 10 days, and this was a fascinating experience from the nursing perspective, and here's what I learned. First of all, those first 2 days, I literally had nothing. The colostrum, it was droplets. I would pump it out. It would be in a bottle, and the NICU nurse would be like, looking at this bottle and very politely saying, sure, I'll put it in the freezer, and it looked like nothing. It was drops of liquid. It was such a tiny amount. My milk came in at around day 3, and at that point, I was starting to pump, smaller amounts, and gradually it built up a little bit. But from the perspective of giving bottles, it was interesting because my baby had bottles from day 1. There was nothing I could do about it. He wasn't strong enough to drink from the breast until about day 4, and then when I wasn't there at night, he had to have a bottle. So I continued this when I came home, and he had a bottle nearly every day, and I found this so liberating. I thought it freed me up. I could pump, which was less time-consuming than nursing, because nursing the early weeks is very time-consuming. I could spend time with my older kids, and it did not affect this baby at all. And I actually did the same things for babies 3, 4, and 5. They always had a bottle, at least one bottle every day. Sometimes I did it at night so that my older children could, I could help getting them to bed. It was very, very helpful. So if you have someone there to help you, your mom or a babysitter or your partner, consider doing this. The key thing here really to think about is that every baby is totally different. Some babies can swap back and forth effortlessly. Other babies, you have to be really, really careful. So you have to gauge all of this with your baby. Now, down the line, this issue for a nursing mom of how many bottles to give will remain very, very important. You don't want to overdo it. For working moms, you might need to be doing as much as 3 bottles a day when you're away at work. Now, what I found when I was in this situation is that once I was home, it really helped to be directly nursing my baby. And on the weekends, I tried not to do any bottles. I tried to just keep directly nursing my baby because I found I produced more milk, and it helped me, and it helped the baby not start to reject the breasts. Many babies can reject the breast at 6 months, at 9 months, at 12 months. If you give bottles all the time, I think they do find it easier. I think it's less work for them. It can just sort of flow in, and they have to work less in terms of exercising their muscles and their tongue to actually get the milk out. So if you want to keep nursing from the breast, you have to sort of keep track of this. And you have to try to limit the amount of bottles you're doing. Try 1 a day, even 2 a day, but be careful. Don't go 5 days just giving bottles, because it might happen that after that your baby won't want to give the breast. So you'll sort of learn to keep track of all this on your own. Be careful with the bottles early on. Try to introduce bottles soon enough so that you won't have a big battle when you do need to give a bottle. And as time goes on, if you continue to nurse, just try to keep track of the whole thing and gauge it and make sure that your baby continues to want to nurse directly from your breast. And this whole thing should hopefully work out for you.